All right, my friends. Well, I just gotta say, I love the fall. Is there anything better than the fall? Oh man, I tell you, when I lived in Phoenix, I missed this something wicked. I had to get back east. It was like calling at me, because just a cool, crisp air, the sun going down early, the change in obviously the leaves, just everything is better when it's fall. I love it. I used to, when I was growing up, we'd have the Patriots on an old Foxborough Field or Foxborough Stadium. Yeah, I think it was called. I think it was called Sullivan Stadium, but yeah, maybe Sullivan Stadium. There's all that nasty AstroTurf, you know what I'm talking about. But man, just so the Pats would, they have their first, all the games in the East Coast start at 1, and you just be out there the opening weekend, and you're in northern New England. It's still cold. It's in beginning of September, not that cold, but. See Stanley Morgan out there, Steve Grogan, John Hanna, Steve Nelson. Oh, man. It was just like, I can't explain the feeling it was to see the sun start to set, kind of like it's doing now. Y'all can't really see that so well. On an early game, the early game, the 1 o'clock game in the Sullivan Stadium, Foxborough. And it was like going to late in the third, early fourth. Sun's going down, starting to get a little bit chilly. Man, there's just something about that. And then after the Patriots lost, which they certainly did, I mean, they were, 2-14, and when they got Tony Eason, 84. Yeah, they got him 84 draft. They were 2-14 that year. I mean, they were horrible. I think they were 2-14 in 88, too, after they went to the Super Bowl, got crunched by the Bears. But anyway, it's just something about, so the sun's going down. There's a cool breeze coming in. The trees have changed. Just, man, I can't, it's just something like spooky yet exhilarating about that. Oh, man, I can't explain it. And then it'd roll over. So now it's starting to get dark, and they usually show like the Raiders and the Broncos or something like that. The Raiders and the Chargers. And I'm telling you, man, I told you this before, but I'd be sitting there watching the late game. I love the Raiders. Ken Stabler, Dave Casper. I used to love the Raiders. Well, every now and again, they put a Jets and Dolphins game at 4 at the late game. And it used to drive me insane because you only had one game for the late game. And if you're in the AFC East, you watch the Jets and the Dolphins. Freeman McNeil and that Don Strock, yeah. I think it was before Marino even. I can't remember. But you'd watch the Dolphins, and I just hated both those teams. Hated them. Richard Todd, Wesley Walker, man, Al Toon, all those guys. I hated them because, they're playing the Patriots division. And the Jets are pretty good. Obviously, the Dolphins were real good back then. The Bills weren't that good. And we had the Colts. So the Colts were in our division too, but the Colts weren't any good. Anyway, so they put a Jets-Dolphins game on, and that'd be, the Raiders... Broncos, the Raiders, Chargers behind. You're like, oh, why do I gotta watch this game? Oh, that didn't happen much, probably twice, but it was painful. Actually, they kind of did that not too long ago. The Patriots were playing the Steelers. We had to watch the Falcons, the freaking Bucks. I was like, oh. Anyway, so what you'd have to do, my mom would be making something, whatever it was, liver, and we'd have to go outside and. I can't remember. I just might have to go in the garden. I just can't remember. But have to go outside. I think my brother and I would play a little bit of football. We might pick some of the garden stuff. I can't remember. But I just remember it's like I couldn't watch the whole game because we had to go outside and do something. I don't think we had chickens anymore by that point. I can't remember. Maybe picking the carrots. I forgot. But anyway, I just remember we'd have to go outside after the first game and do something for my mom. And I was like, oh, some kind of chore. I was like, I just got to get this chore done so I can watch, the Raiders and the Broncos, the Raiders and Don Coryell, Eric Coryell with Dan Fouts, John Jefferson, Chuck Muncie with the glasses, Kellen Winslow. Oh, man. But anyway, so then it'd be like sunny out there. All these guys are in shorts and flip-flops. And it was like dark back in Maine. It's cold, even in September. A cold breeze coming through. The sun's already down. All these people be tan. they're all blonde, and we're just, freaking northerners, pale as can be. Oh man, so I'd be looking out there like that. And then the Raiders moved to LA, and just watching these people, I said, man, this is like heaven. These guys all look pretty, all tan, not a care in the world. And here it is dark and gloomy and cold. The difference in perception is mind-boggling. And my cousins lived in Thousand Oaks. They're all tan and blonde. I was like, man, I'd have dirty pants on. We didn't have anything to eat that was any good. Hell, half time we didn't even have heat. Anyway, the whole difference was great. It was the same. But going back to why I love the fall, there's something exhilarating about getting your preps up. I remember we have to put that plastic on the outside of the windows. Yeah, it was outside the windows, right? Maybe that's what it was. We had to do. I think my dad was still around. I don't remember. I just remember we had to get these storm windows up. And for us, the storm windows meant that plastic you have to put around your windows. I don't remember caulking or anything like that. But I just remember doing the plastic. But you always had to do something, like prep for the wintertime coming. You know what I'm saying? There's always something that had to be done outside. And it had to be done on the weekend, because you had school and whatnot. And after the first game, you'd do it before it got too dark. And it's just like, there's something about prepping for the winter time that was coming. Like in the Game of Thorns, or Game of Thrones, or it's called, winter's coming. That's how it felt. And it felt great. It was like you're sitting there like, we gotta get this done. We gotta get prepared, because the winter's coming. Maybe we had to chop wood. Maybe that's what it was. Bring in wood. That might have been what it was. Put the storm windows on, bring in wood. Because of wood. I can't remember where we kept the wood. I guess we kept the wood in the garage. That's where we had the chickens, in the garage. And it wasn't like it was a separate house, kind of like a detached garage. We didn't have a car or anything. That's where me and my neighbor Seamus had on Halloween, we had a haunted house in that garage in our backyard. It was pretty fun, actually. Charged like $2 or $3. And that was a lot of fun, as a matter of fact. We scared the hell out of our neighbors there. I can't remember what we did, but we had fun. But anyway, so we had this big detached garage. I'm sure that's where we kept the wood. I think my dad would cut it, but I don't know what happened when my dad left. I can't remember. But I just think we'd cut the wood. He would cut them when he was gone. Maybe I cut it, and we have to move into the garage, and then from the garage into the home, inside the house, to have enough to heat for at least a couple of days. I can't remember. I just remember we used to have to do something after the first game, and then during the second game, as the Raiders game was on and it started getting dark, it just had that looming effect of not doom so much, but just not fear. What's the word I'm looking for? Just concern. That's all I could think. Because in Maine, you get these nor'easters. I mean, there'd be huge snowstorms and whatnot, freezing cold. And sometimes when we didn't have the heat because she forgot to pay the bill or couldn't afford. I don't remember. I just remember you're just like we're gonna wake up in no cold and no warmth because of whatever. And I just remember just this pending feeling of get prepared. And I'm telling you, it's just very manly. You know what I'm saying? Like a pioneer type. I know that sounds weird, but for me, I loved it. I loved being out there in the woods, gathering up the wood that we'd get. When I was a really young kid, my mom would take me out. We would get, gather blueberries, just like Blueberries with Sal. If you ever seen that book, forgot the dude's name who wrote it, but there's a book called Blueberries for Sal. McCloskey is his name. I forgot his first name. He's got a couple books, but Blueberries for Sal, it's kind of like me. We'd go on and get the blueberries. I can't remember if we canned them or not. I just remember my mom taking me. This was a real young kid, and getting the blueberries and saving them, I guess, or eating. I can't remember what we did with them. I was too young, but I do remember that. So if you ever get a book for kind of where I grew up, kind of, except I was on an island. I don't think Sal grew up on an island, but Blueberries for Sal. If you ever get that book by a guy named McCloskey, that'd be like your old buddy Josh right there. Anyway, I just remember when we moved to Phoenix, and There's no cold winter. I mean, it got cold at night when the sun went down. It got cold. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It made you soft. I'll never forget that. When I was out in Phoenix for a couple years, I said, because there was no cold winter, and not just because of snow, but just no fall, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have the same feeling of got to get prepared for, incoming essentially. And it didn't feel natural. And I'll never forget sitting there thinking, man, this is too easy. Yeah, it gets hot in the summertime, but the heat is like, just stay inside, which I hated. I still to this day hate. It's too hot where your young boys stay inside in the summertime. That's freaking nuts. It's insane. And I remember sitting there like, we didn't have kids at that point, but just thinking like, it's too hot to do anything outside because it's literally 110 degrees. And that's dangerous in that heat, you know what I'm saying? So in the wintertime would come, and during the day it was flipping beautiful. At night it got cold, I'm telling you right now. In the desert, when the sun goes down, it gets doggone chilly. But it didn't have the same feeling of being prepared. And I always wondered, because if you think about the people in the West versus the people in the East, the people in the West are just very, I don't want to say live and let live anymore. I think that's the way it used to be. I think they try to pretend like they are, but I think a lot of the people on the West Coast are definitely laid back, let's put it that way. I don't think they're nearly the old school hippies who are just like, hey, whatever, dude, do your thing. You do me, I'd be me. You do you, I'd be me. But I do think there was some just laid backness, just let it come, and that for me drove me crazy because I'm like, you got to prepare. You can't just let it come, man. You got to prepare for what's coming. And I just remember living out in Phoenix, and it didn't have the same. It was like you're epitome like a surfer dude, even though there's no, obviously there's no surf in Phoenix, but it's the same kind of mentality. Like, just let things come. And I remember thinking, this isn't natural. Anyway, that was my growing up in Maine. I remember that like it's yesterday. And then I also remember like the springtime coming. So the hard part was the winter because it got dark, got cold. It got kind of depressing. I think there's studies that say people actually don't kill themselves in the wintertime, even though you think they would because it's dark and depressing. More people do in June. In fact, I've read a couple of studies that I think that's right, which surprised me because I would have thought for sure they kill themselves around the holidays and whatnot. That's simply, at least what I've read, is not true. And I think the people who do, they don't want to ruin other people's Christmas and all that stuff. And so what they do is they wait until a little bit more joyful thing. And I find that horrific, actually. That's sad. I used to be not very sympathetic in that regard. And I've shared that before. I don't want to go down too deep in this, but not very sympathetic. And I've completely changed on that. I just feel bad for anyone who's feeling that way, where it's this doom that you can never get around. That sucks, man. I don't know what that's like, and I am very sympathetic, and the people are going through that. And if that's you, I feel for you. I do. I can't imagine, being so depressed. You're not even sad anymore. You're just like, there's no hope. That's just, man. Because even when I was growing up in Maine, in the wintertime, it'd be depressing. It would, because it's dark. That's why a lot of alcoholics up there, because the wintertimes is so dark for so long. But we didn't have the internet back then and stuff like that. I don't know if that's good or bad, Frank. I don't know. We didn't have opioids. We had dope and marijuana. I guess heroin. I don't know what else. I mean, poor people didn't do that stuff. Well, at least I don't think. I think everyone just got drunk. I'm sure there's even the poor guys out in the sticks of Maine doing their own moonshine, like in West Virginia, because Maine and West Virginia have a lot of similarities. But anyway, at the end of the day, just that level of dark and whatnot. But for me, at least, the hope was when the spring would come and the baseball, we'd, like when February, where the pitchers and catchers would show up in Florida. Oh, that was like, so Groundhog Day. That was the beginning of the end of winter. And it was a true accomplishment. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it just felt so good. You're sitting there thinking, we made it or we're about to make it. And you didn't always make it, but you knew you were on the downside of the storm, if that made sense. And it just felt great because you're like, all right, just 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, whatever it is, and we're gonna be good to go. Felt great, man. And then comes springtime, you know, in Maine is April. Down here is March, up there is April. You just, you know, the first opening day in Boston, they always have like Patriots Day or something like that, and people would be freezing their tushes off. We had a minor league team when I was growing up, the Maine Guides, AAA for the Cleveland Indians, and I actually kept a program from them. They took pictures, and those guys are freezing. You can see you can see them up there, the people in the stands with their, you know, all their overcoats and whatnot. It's funny, actually. But man, just the smell of the, you know, the flowers starting to come out. Yeah, man, it was just like, you know, the feeling of glory is literally glorious. You have made it, you survived. And up there, the summers are so good that you're like, we survived. But then it's a cycle, you know what I'm saying? The cycle come back around. Now, look, I'm 49. I was 8, 9, 10 back then. I don't know if I still have that in my, I frankly don't think I do. The cold is too much. I mean, hell, I was in the Army at Fort Drum. And I remember even getting deployed down here to Fort Stewart one time. I think that was in June, maybe it was in May. And Fort Stewart is in the east part of Georgia. And we're doing this, we're just, you know, in the infantry just walk everywhere. So you walk, you sweat like a pig. Then you go to the side of the road while your platoon leader is figuring out where the hell they're going. So you walk, you sweat, you get to the side of the road, freeze. You're freezing cold. You get up, start walking again, sweat, you're dying because you're just like, oh, carrying all this weight. You know, 45 minutes later, get to the side of the road, freeze. I mean, I was 20, 18, 19 then. I remember freezing this, and I don't like that. So I don't think I have the cold in me anymore. Not like that. Because it's cold. And as I'm sitting here in the middle of October, walking in North Georgia in a t-shirt and shorts, it's easy to look kind of and reminisce romantically about cold. But man, I tell you, living through is different. Sitting on that wharf in Peaks Island, Maine, waiting for the boat to come get you, take you to school, and that wind just whipping through you. Oh man! And I've always been interested in the Ayn Rand and the Soviet Union. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, I can never say his name. Solzhenitsyn, whatever his name is. Victor. Oh man, what's his name? John, not Viktor Frankl, another Victor Herman. Lots of guys have written books about the Gulag and the Soviet Union stuff, and just being sent to Siberia with basically, you know, just t-shirt and jeans essentially. And that the cold scares me. That's all there is to it. But you know, the funny thing is, you probably have your own reminiscing about your own growing up. And it's fun to think about. You can never recreate that stuff. That's what I've learned in my 49 years on this earth. You always look fondly of your past, even if during that time it wasn't that fond, if that makes sense. A lot of people talk about that, a lot of literature. The past is always nice, and yet you're always afraid of the future, even though your past had its own challenges. And the future may or may not, but everyone looks fondly at the past, nervous at the future. And it's too bad, because I think it keeps a lot of people from doing what they're put on this earth to do, to use their God-given skills, whatever that means, I don't know. But anyway, I figured I'd just share that story with you. It's fun. I love the fall. It's like the best time of the year. Enjoy it while you can, because winter's coming. Get prepared, my friends. Talked to a guy yesterday, calling for 6 inches in Denver. Tomorrow in Boulder, I think the earliest it will ever stay, ever in recorded history, below freezing for one full day tomorrow in Boulder. So it's coming. Be prepared and get your wood cut. We'll see you.